The Black Towers on the waterfront of Detroit is the Renz Center, location of the General Motors World Headquarters. Move a little bit west along the waterfront past the downtown skyscrapers, and you will get to Cobo Center. This is the location of the North American International Auto Show, commonly referred to as the Detroit Auto Show, from January the 13th to January the 28th, 2018. Travels with Lobo, you are viewing Detroit, America's great comeback city, and Lonely Planet's number 2 city destination for 2018. Vlog number 12, Detroit Auto Show, made in Detroit. Remember, a new vlog is published every Friday. Lobo coming to you from the North American International Auto Show in Detroit, Michigan, commonly known as the Detroit Auto Show. With 750 vehicles around me, are there still cars which are manufactured in the city of Detroit? We'll have a look. An early pioneer of the automobile industry in Detroit, of course, was Henry Ford. He did not invent the automobile, but he did invent the assembly line, thereby mass-producing automobiles like the Model T. I'm at a very famous intersection in East Detroit. That would be Paquette and Beaubien. Behind me is the first Ford Motor Company automotive plant, built in 1904. So it was here at the Paquette plant that Ford produced the models B, C, F, K, N, R, S, and the famous Model T between 1904 and 1910, when Ford became the world's largest producer of automobiles. In 1913, Ford moved its operations to the Highland Park plant, a plant that was much larger, which allowed for the assembly line of the Model T, an innovative industrial building designed by Albert Kahn, Detroit's premier architect at the time. In 1913, right here, Ford began production of cars on an assembly line. By 1925, they'd reached the peak of 9,000 cars a day right here in Detroit, Michigan. A very important step in the industrial age of cars. I don't know about you, but do you ever find yourself skeptical about a number that you read and you really don't believe it? Well, that's a situation I find myself in here, because 9,000 cars per day, that's 562 per hour, even assuming 2 8-hour shifts. Back in 1925, 9,000 cars per day, that would be a ridiculous number. It was the automobile industry that provided the economic engine to make Detroit, by 1950, one of the wealthiest cities in the United States. For various reasons, that economic engine started to sputter in the 1960s. Its population declined from 2 million in 1950 to less than 700,000 today, as Detroit lost more than 90% of its mid-century peak of 200,000 factory jobs. Ironically, one of the early companies to leave Detroit was the Ford Motor Company when it left the Highland Park plant to move to River Rouge in Dearborn, Michigan. It's near Detroit, but not in Detroit. Wikipedia and search for a list of automobile manufacturers of Michigan, you'll find in that list at least 90 which were manufactured in the city of Detroit once upon a time. So the moniker, the Motor City, was well deserved. Today, that is a distant dream. Are there still cars which are manufactured in the city of Detroit? We'll have a look. Today's auto plants are very secretive. When I engaged two employees in conversation who were in a parking lot on the other side of the fence as to what was manufactured here apart from the Cadillac, no comment.
Our anniversary last year, 115 years, 1902, founded right here in Detroit. So we decided to make a special edition to commemorate that. That's what this is up on stage.
My name is Mary.
Mary, okay.
Yes. I know there's someone else in it.
Woe is me. I had a lovely interview with Mary, who has been a long-time Cadillac owner and who just loves Cadillacs, and she did a great job in explaining why she loved Cadillacs. My only problem was I forgot to press the record button. So Mary, if you're looking at this, my apologies. Also manufactured at the General Motors Hamtramck assembly plant is the Buick LaCrosse. When I go to downtown Detroit, I always park down by the waterfront where there's free parking. And as I walk towards downtown, the walk takes me by the General Motors World Headquarters at the Wren Center. Ironically, on my way to the Detroit Auto Show, I saw this particular historical plaque talking about David Dunbar Buick. Yes, that's where the name Buick comes from. Buick was another one of those many early automotive pioneers in Detroit. His company eventually became part of General Motors. Another car manufactured in the Hamtramck GM plant is the Chevrolet Impala. The final car that is manufactured at the Hamtramck plant is a Chevy Volt that carries General Motors' electric car hopes. Drive 20 minutes east from downtown along Jefferson Avenue and you will get to the Chrysler Jefferson North Assembly Plant, home of the world-famous SUV, the Grand Cherokee. Notice how today's factories are low-key and very secretive. Also manufactured at the Jefferson North Assembly Plant is a Dodge Durango, a vehicle that shares the same frame as the Grand Cherokee. So those are the cars which are manufactured in the city of Detroit. However, I don't want to be misleading in the sense that in the state of Michigan and near Detroit, there appear to be 10 assembly plants, including the 2 in Detroit. In a sweet byline to the story, here on Michigan Avenue, within sight of downtown Detroit, you'll find a building called The Factory. Well, so what? But there is a story here, insofar as this represents the return of the Ford Motor Company to the city of Detroit, albeit in a very small way. In the trendy neighborhood of Corktown, Ford will be relocating their business teams for its self-driving and electric vehicle operations from Dearborn, Michigan, to the factory. How sweet it is to see Ford back in Detroit. And so ends the Detroit vlog. I hope you found it educational and informative. I know I learned a lot. See you next Friday.